Welcome to Chris and Carlette Live, a podcast about life, love, and overcoming obstacles. Each week, we discuss the good, the bad, and the indifferent of life's interruptions. Now, here's your host, Chris and Carlette.
Keep believing, don't go stressing, keep it moving. God, we're resting, here to help you, here to bless you. With God on our side, CNC Life.
All right, we are live. I'm gonna take these headphones off.
Okay.
Baby, you sit next to me today.
I know. You know, it must be special.
You know,
But you behave yourself.
you must love me so much.
Behave yourself.
You must love me.
Behave yourself.
That's why you want to sit
We
next
got
to me.
an audience today.
Oh, we
have
do.
an audience
We do.
today.
That's
I
right.
want you to behave
So
yourself.
how was your Sunday and your Saturday?
It was a good weekend. Got a lot done, a lot accomplished, and as well as had a good time in church.
Good time.
Good time in church.
Yeah.
Yep.
Spirit of the Lord
Yeah.
came in. And
Waited heavily.
good.
It was
Amen.
good. It was good. Looking forward to the week and what it brings that's going to be good to us.
Right. Let me check the audio. Say something for me.
Say something for me.
All right. I think we're good. So what else? How was your day at work today?
Well, today, just like any other Monday, have my influx of patients, ones that had to be seen readily over the weekend or something, a surgery that needed to be completed, and I just try to prove everything.
Okay.
Mondays is a good day
Talking like
for your urgents to come see me. I'm gonna approve it.
Cool. Well, I don't want to belabor the hour.
Uh-huh.
This is our first in studio guest. No, who was the first?
Bill. In
Oh.
the kitchen.
Well, I'm saying in this. Studio.
Oh, in this studio.
In this studio.
But yes.
This is our first.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has a resume of all different type of accolades.
Yeah, he went to Rice University, I learned.
Yeah, not too many people can go to Rice.
No, not too many people.
Yeah, so, the rich and the famous is sitting right across from us.
Listen, we are special, we are blessed, and we are honored today. Thank you all for joining us. If you're on Facebook, please go to Chris and Carlette Live, and not only just go there, but like and subscribe. And on our YouTube page, Chris and Carlette Live, we want you to follow us and subscribe there as well. And share us on Facebook. That'd be so great. Share us off of YouTube to your friends' personal text messaging, however you want to do it. But listen, get involved and engage with us.
Yes. So you want to introduce our guest?
Well, that's funny. You have me to do it. Okay. So
Well, you want me to do it?
that would be nice. I
met this gentleman. Almost, probably back in 2010. I want to say he was in Indianapolis, and he had his book out. He was selling his book. Man, I should have brought it on.
What's the name of the book?
Faces I Have Seen.
Faces I Have Seen. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So if you have not purchased a copy, make sure you get your copy. Is it we'll ask him if it's because I haven't brought him on yet. But this man, dear friend of mine, we've grown throughout the years. He allowed me to shoot his first TV pilot, Atlanta Law. So make sure you all go out on Tubi to watch Atlanta Law. He wrote Atlanta Law. Well, it was some excerpts, I think, from his. He can explain all that, right?
All I know is they did it at my house.
Right.
a nice amount of it. I heard a gunshot, everything.
Right. So we're just gonna bring him on live, and
Yes.
his name is Attorney
Yes.
Ted Johnson, all the way from Indianapolis, Indiana, and he lives here in Atlanta, where he is a criminal attorney, defense attorney.
Yes.
Yes. So welcome.
He pleads for the people.
Yes. Let's get a little hand clap in here for him. There you go.
There we go. It's official when you get the hand clap.
Attorney Johnson, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming by to the Chris and Carlette live show.
Absolutely.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about yourself. And that camera's hot, so you can play it.
Like you mentioned, I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. I've lived in Houston, Texas, Chicago, now here in Atlanta, doing my thing as a criminal defense attorney and playwright and filmmaker and author.
Yes.
So, but my meat and bread is that of a criminal defense attorney that specializes in, can I say it?
Yeah.
Murder.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Lord, don't
He
judge.
specializes in murder.
Specialize in murder. That's what I do. But so honored and humbled to be here, and thank you all for having me.
Oh, good.
Our
good.
pleasure. Our pleasure.
So tell us what it's like to be an attorney, especially nowadays, a criminal defense attorney. What does your life consist of?
My life is centered on giving people who have made some bad decisions another opportunity to right their lives, sometimes under the most harsh of circumstances, to try to convince society that this person has redeeming qualities and it's not a threat to himself or a threat to other people. Not to mitigate too much what allegedly occurred, but to just give them a second chance. That's what Ted Johnson is all about, second chances.
Is it hard to defend? Okay, let me tell you the premise of this question before I ask you. In my marketing class, when I was going through the MBA, they said what people go after, mainly in the media, is stories about senior citizens and children. If you hurt either one of those demographics, you can forget it.
Yes.
So how do you deal with a case that's either dealing with children or a senior citizen?
Very, very good question. I am very selective in what cases I choose to represent someone. I get the benefit of listening to the story before signing on as their lawyer. So giving the facts or circumstances of a particular instance, right? If I feel that the person accused of the crime really didn't have the intent to just commit the crime, but in a sense did commit the crime, I'm more inclined to try to help that person. But certainly cases involving women and children or the elderly are very, very sensitive subjects and sometimes can be cost prohibitive.
Okay.
But if the client is willing and able to pay and they have a legitimate story which I think I can help them, I'll try to help them.
Okay.
Do you run across the case? Well, obviously you do, but like where this person is just guilty without, how do you mentally process that to say that, okay, do you try to find loopholes and I don't like to use, but
Sure. Well, when I run across that client who is just guilty as sin, my approach becomes more academic in terms of emotional. The academic approach would be to see whether or not the rights were followed, the laws were followed, the criminal procedure was followed in terms of how this person was arrested, how he progresses or she progresses through the court system, and how a jury, in their infinite wisdom, collective wisdom, came to a decision. So I look for those things that some people call a loophole, right? But I look for those things to make sure that my client's constitutional protections were in place throughout the entire process of their experience in the courtroom, in the courthouse.
So, like when those defendants, you prove that they're not guilty, do you like get hate mail and like all that kind of stuff, or?
Interesting enough, people learn to accept what I do and they don't necessarily take it out on me. They may initially, like, how could you sit there with this guy? He's accused of these horrible things. But once we go through the process and they understand what my function is within the process, there's kind of a respect for my function, because but for my function, we would have this mob mentality of justice where people would just be found guilty. At least I'm the one person a lot of times that questions whether or not, things were proven, or question certain facts and circumstances, just to show the other side of things. So I don't necessarily get the hate mail. In a sense, I get the left-handed respect.
Wow.
Yeah, good job, but we still don't care for your client.
What I hear from that is you're willing to hear their story.
Yes.
As grotesque as it may be, or morbid, or whatever the situation is, you're willing to hear their story. That's you have a special place in your heart to hear, to listen.
Yeah, that's a keen way of looking at it. I have to hear the story to decide whether or not I choose to represent you. Now, I don't mean to come off like I just represent any and everybody for the right price, because I don't. There are some people who have been accused of such horrible things that not even I, after 30 years of practicing criminal defense law, not even I can stomach sitting with this person. In the book, I had reference to Faces I've Seen, a memoir of murder. I've seen evil people. I've seen sociopathic people, and they walk among us. And sometimes when they're triggered, they can do some awful, heinous things. So with that in mind, no, I don't represent everyone. I will listen to your story, and I will wish you the best as I walk away from you and decline representation. Wow. Yeah.
So what is a win for you?
A win for me is when it's not necessarily the verdict that I receive.
Okay.
That's not necessarily a win for me. A win for me is knowing that I did the best that I could do under the circumstances, and whether or not the jurors really got my story, got my explanations and justifications for why my client did what they did or did what they were accused of. And in spite of all of that, still decide to find him or her guilty of the crime, but at the same time showing me the amount of respect to say, hey, good job, understood your story, just didn't buy it. So for me, that's a win.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can get a guilty, then then you have to go into plan B. Okay, how do we lessen this?
Sure. Mitigation is always on the table.
Okay.
People want to know, is there anything redeeming about your client?
Ooh.
Where we can have some hope in him or some hope in her that they don't continue down this path of antisocial behavior in terms of committing crimes. So I share mitigation when I can. If I bring up mitigation during the trial, we call that bringing up good character. And if I were to do that, then the prosecution could have the opportunity to bring up every little bad thing that my client ever did in his or her life. So we avoid talking about these good character moments that my client may have had during their life, and we wait until the client has actually been found guilty, if you will, to discuss the redeeming qualities of the client. So the judge may have some sympathy or leniency for the client.
Gotcha.
Wow. That's good.
Wow. Okay.
There he is.
All right. So the show is, well, first of all, this is Chris and Carlette Live. The life interruptions, the good, the bad, and the indifferent.
Wow.
Okay. That's the, if you want to call it, the subtitle of Chris and Carlette Live. And so in your line of work, your profession, you see the good, bad, and indifferent. So far we've heard the good. We've heard the bad. What is the indifferent?
The indifference is I run across people who I say this, and I mean this in the kindness of ways, that once I kiss you, I'm done with you. For example, if I represented you and I got you out of a bad situation, you can't come back. You can't come back and say, Ted, I need you to represent me in this instance. I'm not one of those lawyers that are into repeat clients. You can't keep coming back to me having committed this crime, that crime, or the other. Now, some would say, well, you're not a very good businessman. Maybe I'm not. But at some point in time, for my own consciousness, for my own sake, I'm not going to assist you in being a better criminal. At some point in time, particularly if you're coming to me and I'm dealing with major felony cases, right? You can't come back to me with another major felony case that you wish for me to represent you in. So the indifference for me is, no, I'm not representing people who I've gotten off when they come back with future crimes. Prime example, I represented a kid who was accused of murder. He found a gun. He killed his friend playing with this gun. He was charged with murder, and I got him off. But as we were progressing through his case, he promised me that if he were found not guilty, he was going to the Navy. He's going to serve his time in the military, and which gave me added incentive that this kid saw a future for himself, and we're going to help him facilitate that future, and did my best work in getting this kid found not guilty. And during the summer, when he was found not guilty, I would call him. Have you joined the Navy yet? Have you joined the Navy yet? And it was always one excuse after the other. And then finally I get a call, which is, customary, collect call from the county jail. And it was my kid. And he was caught up in another criminal situation. And I left him right there. I couldn't find myself to help him because it's like, to me, if society lets you go having killed someone and you find yourself under these circumstances again, even if it's something short of killing another person, I'm not the one to represent you. I can't do it. So there goes my indifference.
Yeah. And rightfully so.
How do we keep our young men off the streets?
That's a very broad question, very complicated question. The bottom line is it starts at home. It starts at home. If you have no structure, no discipline at home, if you have no rules, no code instilled in you as a kid at home, then you are not or should not be expected to know how to get along with other people once you leave the home. And it's so sad, but I think everything is learned behavior. And sometimes we run into the aberrations where a kid does come from a good home and they get out in these streets and they do commit heinous crimes. But I would do an informal poll. I would do an informal poll of my clients to see, whether or not a kid had a mother within his life or her life after they had killed someone, right?
Oh.
And you'd be surprised the number of people that have committed murder really didn't have a relationship with their mother. Right, because their mother was on drugs, mother was an absentee mom, and I would deduce from that, and I'm no scientist, I'm no social scientist or anything like that, but I would deduce from that it's so easier to kill, for a human to kill another human, if they are devoid of that motherly love sort of deal, So if you don't have that love that you would have for your mother, then certainly you wouldn't have it for a stranger that you're robbing or someone that you are offending out in these streets. So that's just my take on it. It just comes from home that you get. I also think that we are born with an innate sense of what's right and what's wrong as well. but that's certainly molded through your parents and grandparents and things of that sort. So unless we can get back our kids within the home and slow down on the twerking and slow down on the provocative dressing and learn how to not trying to control or social engineer our kids, but in a sense trying to do exactly that, social engineer our kids to do more than just twerking and putting big eyelashes on. But we want them to have something on their mind. We want them to have some goals, and we want them to have some staying power, a work ethic.
Right.
My own experience, my parents would get up. They were sharecroppers, so they would naturally get up at the break of dawn every day, even on weekends, which I never understood. But as sharecroppers, they work from sun up to sundown. And so one thing that I certainly learned from my parents was a work ethic. Yeah. And that just watching them, through example, I get up, I make my bed, I have a certain protocol that I go through that I got from my parents, right? That I saw them work, and as a result of that, I work, and I don't have a problem with that.
Let's talk about the man, Ted the man.
That's good.
What is Ted Johnson, or who is Ted Johnson?
Ted Johnson is the little boy, like the train that could, the little boy that had high ambitions, who didn't mind working hard, who wanted to be accepted by his friends and peers. Ted Johnson, the man, the little boy, spent an enormous amount of time by himself, working on himself.
That's good.
Even as a kid,
Please give me an example. As a kid, and I'm going to work backwards from this. I ended up going to college on a basketball scholarship. Played Division I basketball. That's really huge. Being from Indiana, basketball is like a religion. Yes,
Right,
it is.
right.
If you are able to distinguish yourself and go to Division I college, you've done something really, really big. Well, as a kid, my alone time, when I would be frustrated, when I would feel sorry for myself, when I would feel angry, I would go shoot hoops by myself. And that could be from sun up to sundown. I would just shoot and shoot and shoot until it became habit for me, right? So the example of Ted working on himself as a kid came through athletics, which progressed through organized sports, which I think coaches, good coaching as a kid, sometimes is a surrogate parent. For your kids to learn, as I learned, the positive feedback and reinforcement that you get in organized sports, the discipline and sportsmanship that you learn, was all character building that helped me become who Ted Johnson, the person, is today. Even at 60 right now, everything to me, or most things for me, is a sports metaphor. Climb that hill, run that corner, do the best that you can be the best that you can be, and win. That competitive spirit that was kind of groomed in me and molded in me as a kid.
How do you, so after a long, lengthy trial each day, how do you go home and just debrief? How do you, because I could imagine some of these trials are really taxing mentally and on you, like your mind, and you feel like you're going crazy. How do you debrief, and how do you set yourself apart from Ted the man to Ted, from Ted the man to Ted the attorney, and vice versa?
I write.
That's good.
Yeah, I write. My exhale is to write short stories about people, places, and things, particularly in terms of the case that I'm dealing with at that point. And this usually occurs both during and after that particular trial. If my trial were to last for a week or 2 weeks. I usually take at least 48 hours off. No one can find me. You know, I may drive down to Jacksonville, may not even get out of the car, just turn around, come right back.
Wow.
You know, but that's my debriefing, is to just take some time for myself, take a drive, go to the gym, take a swim, but certainly some alone time. And which sort of makes me antisocial because I'm not really one for company after a trial. Yes, you know, you really do need that room to decompress, and so that could be hard on your family, your children, your kids, and that sort. And my kids would say, "Oh, Daddy's having a moment right now," and they understand now that when Daddy is coming off a trial, give Daddy some room. The door's closed for a reason, and they don't disturb me. And my significant other, she doesn't disturb me after one of my trials. She just give me a little space and let me kind of, bend myself back into shape. Yeah.
I wish she was here because I would ask her, what is it like to date you? For real.
Yeah.
And I say that because, I know my husband thinks he's the only one I've ever had in my life, in my life.
No, yeah, that's.
But hear me good. I dated a police officer. It lasted maybe a month, maybe. I do not know. I think it takes a special woman to date and marry a police officer, and I really think this guy had it in his mind that we were going to go in that direction. But it was just really different to be around bullets all the time and not wanting to go anywhere because you're protecting and serving 24/7 with or without that uniform on. Sure. So I just would want to know. Tell her to call me. No, I'm just playing. What? And I'm just making a statement. You really can't answer that because it's not.
I can guess.
Okay.
She is very good at leaving me alone.
That's good.
And she's very good at having the kids to give me space. And it is much appreciated. It's much appreciated, honey. It's much appreciated that she recognizes the need for Dad to decompress and be alone for a second.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And that's real because, like, when he calls me on his way home, I'm hearing. So I know what he comes home to.
Yes.
So I can say, now he loves it when them two, they will run to him, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. Now, especially if the little girl do it. Oh, God, she can probably get anything within the first 3 to 5 minutes and walk through that door. But then I can tell, okay, guys, we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do, you can do it, but just tone it down a little bit. But as soon as you're done, go to your room. You're going to go to your room. I'm going to have a cold drink. Bath is going to be ready. Dinner, something, because this needs to be the safe place. Right. This is his home. Right. He don't have to war here. Right. You did that out there. You slay dragons out there. You don't have to do that here. Right. So I can appreciate that. I really can. And it's ladies, okay, for all y'all that's ready, that was a major nugget right there. You heard it from a man. What he needs to come home to. Okay, so listen, we have the power to create and destroy. Please catch what that man just said. Thank you.
So let's switch lanes. Let's talk about Ted the author and Ted the filmmaker.
Oh, that's good.
Of course, I had the opportunity to do Faces I've Seen. Shot some stuff for that, and then your Atlanta Law. And as we were going through some of the scripts, and this was based off of your life.
Yes.
I'm like, man, this dude.
What threw me was them toothbrushes, but we're going to leave that alone. We're going to leave that alone.
Wait. Let's talk about the player Ted.
When he told the girl, I'll call you. We'll see each other around when we can. I was like,
that day.
oh.
Oh, man.
Because I even asked Chris, I said, this is really about Ted? I said, you trying to tell me he's like this?
Hey, y'all have to go make sure you talk to
I was like, he was in his heyday.
Yeah, that was then. That was then. That was prior to children. And
Right.
committed relationships and all of that. But Ted, the author, dealing with the type of social issues that I deal with, I was seeking counseling. Not ashamed to say it. I went to a counselor, a therapist for 3 or 4 years. And the main advice was to learn how to displace these various issues, because I'm sitting with some of the most diabolical, evil people that you would ever want to meet. And so a way to divorce myself from Ted the lawyer to Ted the person, I was encouraged to journal. So I kept a journal. And the journal was a fiction for me, like putting all of this stuff in a can, putting the stuff in a book, and putting it on a shelf. And the fiction was, if it's in the book or on the shelf, I don't have to carry this stuff around with Ted the person. And a good friend of mine at the time found my diary, my journal, and she said 2 things. She says, first thing, this should be a book, okay? And the second thing is that you're unfaithful and I'm leaving you.
Oh no. Hold on. I'll be right back. Stop. Finish the interview, baby. Finish the interview.
Yes, yeah, so.
Oh, my goodness.
There you go with the toothbrushes.
Well, okay. Okay. All right. Well, first of all, I am glad that you have learned how to decompress in an intelligent manner that is opening doors for you.
Thank you.
Now, of my belief, according to the Bible, our gifts are supposed to make room for us. And you've done that. You've done that. And so, oh, Lord, he went and got the book. He went and got the book. So if anybody, to our young people that's out there, this is a prime example. Here you have a living example of what you can do that is positive, that will increase you. It will open doors for you. And it'll be something that will, I like how our pastor said it when we wrote our book. He said, now your story and you live on. Even beyond you, you got it on paper. He said, when it's written down, it's printed, it is now, you have legacy.
Yes.
Okay, so you've done that how many times over? Whether it's by movie, whether it's documented.
Yes.
It's not just here. It's so many people, and he said it so well. It's so many people in the grave with stuff stuck here. It did not get documented. So it lives on beyond you, and it's generational.
Yes.
So I thank you for doing that for everybody. I thank you for doing it for your children. You know, they can say, my father is. You know, so I just thank you for saying yes to you. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very
yeah.
much. Very kind.
It's honest. Seriously, I mean, I'm glad that my children know you. Seriously, I feel like I'm getting to know you again. Yeah. So what do you have to say now that you ran and got this book?
I'm just trying to find one of these stories.
Oh, my goodness. Listen. Here's the book. Here's the book. Faces I have seen. A memoir of murder. And this is from the perspective of an attorney. I mean, you know, I think back to the 90s when it was what, LA Law?
Yes.
Was it LA Law?
Yes.
Oh, I was hooked.
Right.
I was hooked. And that's what you thought the life of an attorney was. Do you think LA Law was a good a synopsis, or was it exaggerated?
Certainly, they had some creative license
Mm-hmm.
to make it entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it was my intent with Faces I've Seen in creating my television show, Atlanta Law.
Mm-hmm.
It was really my attempt to recreate L.A. law and make
Was it really?
Atlanta law.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, with the stories that we run into here in Atlanta, the Dirty South, right? And given the fact that I've had well over 100 murder cases, I had enough content to create that and sustain it for 5 years. So that's the intent, my intent of creating Atlanta law.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
so
the way back from L.A. law, yes.
I didn't know that. Seriously, that came back to me because I loved it. It was great in the 90s. It really was. I want to bring up a person's name that we all know. I just want to know, because I'm hearing stuff and I'm connecting the dots of when I met you unofficially just by hearing about you through Chris and Londi.
Yeah.
So how did you meet Londi? Londi Maduro. Okay.
Based out of Los Angeles.
Yes.
I met Londi through one of my Rice University connects.
Oh, okay.
Rice University, Houston, Texas, at the time that I went to Rice University, had maybe 1,000 African Americans at Rice. So we all became very, very connected with each other. And most of us were athletes.
Okay.
Right? Football, basketball players, track runners. And one of my good friends, Dr. Raven Anderson, lives in Houston, Texas, was real good friends with a guy on the track team named John. What's John's last name? He's going to kill me.
John Bell.
Mr. John Bell.
Oh.
John Bell ran track at Rice University, and I was a basketball player at Rice. John Bell and Londi Maduro were
exactly
good friends.
That connects it right there.
So that's the connection.
That's the connection.
And so when I learned of John being one to write musical scores for movies, he introduced me to Londi, who was a film director. And so that was the connection.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
The cleanup men of Cairo.
Yeah. Woo.
Tell us. Here I am again in my bathroom mirror trying to make sense out of what has now become the new nigga blank.
the what?
The nigga blank. It's explicit in here.
Oh.
I can't say the word because, the church folks there, How do you explain to someone that your client is accused of kidnapping and torturing someone who was found dead in the trunk of a car? Moreover, after the guy died, your client and others cut his body up into 9 pieces with a chainsaw and buried him about the town.
And you saw this?
How do you explain all of this to a jury and keep a straight face? I figured out, however, I could explain it to myself. I could explain it to a jury. As always, I found the easiest way to approach this dilemma would be to blame it on someone else. So I did.
Oh, that's good.
The cleanup men of Cairo.
Oh.
Wow. That's Mr. Johnson right there for
Yes.
you. Attorney Johnson.
I'm going to let you finish this out because I have motherly duties for college.
Oh.
So I'm so sorry.
Thank
Just
you
got
so
a
much.
notice. Thank y'all.
Thank you for everything.
No, it's already 5 minutes overdue.
Oh, okay. All right.
Thank you so much.
So in these stories, in the faces I have seen, let me just throw that up there like that. Like it's how many pages? almost 260 pages worth of memoirs.
Yes.
What is your favorite one?
Oh, that's kind of hard to say because all of those cases deal with someone being murdered, someone being killed. To say that I had a favorite one would seem kind of morbid.
That's true. Yeah.
But
Which one stands out the most then?
stands out, it would be the cleanup men of Cairo, which involved some young men who had actually graduated from Morehouse College, and along with some street guys, and they went about the business, and their lives were a significant amount of cocaine was stolen, and they went about to try to find the person who they believed had taken the cocaine. And so it was like a whodunit. It was like a whodunit, and what was shocking about it is that these were not your run-of-the-mill type of gangsters. You know, a couple of these guys were Morehouse graduates.
Wow.
And we know, the esteem in the African-American community that we give to our Morehouse men, and for them to be engaged in this behavior was just incredible. Wow. So.
But that's wow. So so let's go back and talk about Ted the author and Ted the filmmaker. So what was it like in producing your own your TV pilot? What was that like?
Man, that was a sublime moment for me, to have a casting director, to go through that process of watching these actors audition to participate in my production, a production crew, production truck. All of that was just really an incredible experience for me. I'd never seen anything like that before, let alone experienced anything like that before or witnessed anything like that before. But I knew that I wanted to start the process of telling my stories.
Wow.
And feeling very blessed and humbled that I was able to do it, that I surrounded myself with the right people, including you, the right people to bring that thing to fruition. And so now it's here, and it's on the telly. It's on television.
Right.
know? And who would have thought that, a person who had no experience in any of this stuff, being able to pull it off and make it happen, even though it took 10 years, it happened.
Right, right.
And so no one cares how long it took. The fact of the matter is that we did it. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, so you just got through shooting, and now you're in post production with what's the name of the?
I've written 5 stage plays.
Okay.
And the latest one is called Here Comes the Sun, and it's loosely based on the biblical story of Ruth in the Bible. But long story short, we converted that stage play into a feature SAG film, indie SAG film, and we just completed filming a week or so ago, and now that piece is in post-production, and we are hopeful that this spring sometime that we'll have it ready and have it distributed through to the masses.
Can you say who you had in it?
Starring Terry Vaughn.
Yes.
If you all remember Seti, what was her name? Alizé, what was Levita Alizé Jenkins of the Steve Harvey show back in the day with Ced the Entertainer, Steve Harvey, and Wendell Raquel. Terry Vaughn starring in her first dramatic role as Ruth in this piece, Here Comes the Sun, that will be released spring, March of 2022.
Wow.
Yeah, very excited about it.
It was one scene that took a lot. Well, it didn't take a lot of work, but I don't want to give it away. But, I mean, I thought that was just, like, so awesome, that
Are you teasing your viewers now?
Yeah, they gotta go get it. They gotta watch it next when it comes out. It's just like one scene, just the way we had to put it together. And Greg Jackson, I think is his last name. Yeah, he was a DP and I was the assistant camera op. And just the way he put that scene together, it was just like, oh man, that's that scene. You gotta go see it. You gotta go see it in order to see what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
So what do you have on the horizon?
I now wish to convert all of my stage plays into feature films. I'm debating on whether to do this piece called In 3 Days, which deals with a man who's living in purgatory for 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Who tries to make sure that his family and friends are okay before he transitions. Or if I'm going to shoot a piece that I recently wrote called The Girl That You Thought You Knew. And it's a young lady based here in Atlanta who is struggling with her sexual orientation, her sexual identity. So I'm debating on which one is to film first, or if I should just take it easy and pour all of those funds that I have into making sure that Miss Vaughn's movie, after we go through post-production, spending that money on media distribution and advertising.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, do I hear you retiring from criminal defense and going full time with making feature films?
No, because I very seldom have investors, so I finance my own stuff. And what I do in practice in law, I use to make movies and do my plays. So one hand scratches the other for me. And so once I get to that point where I have a producer who brings in a ton of money and says, look, Ted, we want to produce all this stuff, I'll continue to practice law and do it myself. And that way, too, you have more say-so in your product and your content. And you reserve the ownership rights.
Wow, right, that's true. Right. You don't have to give anybody a percentage.
Right. And so, I have kids. So, I've already told my kids that they own my company. The company's theirs. So they have a vested interest in what I do and who I work with and all that other stuff. Yeah.
Wow. So I know you just got back today off a trial. You just stopped by to see us, so I know you're extremely tired. So, but we want to thank you all. Thank you, Chris and Carlette, myself and Carlette. Would like to thank you for just dropping it by. I know the trial is somewhere over here. Yes. So, no, we just appreciate you, and thank you for stopping by. Do you have any words of encouragement for those people that may be caught up in the judicial system? And so that's one. And then do you have anything to say for those that want to follow their hearts in the creative scene?
Sure. I would say crime doesn't pay. We live in a society now where crime is glorified. We have become so materialistic, and the need and the race to get this materialism has really destroyed a lot of us in terms of our thinking. We resorted to this thinking, that if we have these valuable, shiny things, that brings work to us as a person or as a people. And I'm here to tell you it does not. And a lot of times you'll find yourself on the wrong side of the tracks, and you'll have to eventually sit next to someone like me. And that is not a good thing, because if you're sitting next to me, the consequences of that is that you're looking at a significant time in prison. And that's never an option that you would want in your life. So learn your craft, do what you do, be honest about it, be fair about it, And don't place yourself in harm's way where you end up in a cage in prison. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. In terms of creatively speaking, here you have. I'm a prime example of someone who started from the ground up. I've never in my life taken a writing class. I've never taken a screenwriting class. I've never made a movie. I've never done any of the formal educational things that you would think one would need to do to make a film. And I say all that to say that it's not important, whatever your interests are, it's not important that you know everything. What's important for you to know is to know someone that does. You know people who are screenwriters, you know people who are DPs, you know people who are directors. There's a whole gumbo full of people that you can utilize your skills, and in some instances, just tell them your vision, and they will bring your vision to life, right? Wow. So don't be afraid to get out there and try. My 11-year-old son said something to me that's so profound that it's become my new mantra. I asked him, "Tell me, son, what is the meaning of life to you?" He said, "Well, the first thing is to try. Whatever it is you want to do, try. The next thing is to live, right? So as you trying stuff out, you're living it out, right? You living, you're trying new things, you're trying things that you're not used to, whatever. And last but not least, learn from that. Learn the good, the bad, the indifference of all the things that you've tried, right? And for him, he said, well, that's the meaning of life, to try, to live, and to learn.
Wow, that's powerful. Didn't you make a shirt with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
In tribute to my son.
Right. All the proceeds go to college fund.
Right. So if I had to leave that gem on you in terms of the creative arts, try, live, and learn.
Wow.
Don't be afraid to fall.
Now, if you get caught up on the wrong side of the tracks, how can they get in contact with you?
Oh, I don't even want to leave you my information.
Okay.
I don't want to put that in the universe.
Okay.
My name is Ted Johnson, attorney at law. If you need me, Google me and find me.
Right. All right, you all. Well, we appreciate you tuning into Chris and Carlette Live. Our special guest today is Attorney Ted Johnson, criminal defense attorney in Atlanta, Georgia. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and YouTube, and we will, and as Carlette always says, go pray, and go pray. And we will talk to you all next week. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us this week on Chris and Carlette Live. Make sure to visit our website, chrisandcarlette.com. If you're on Facebook, share this broadcast. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to our show. You may also find us on Apple Podcast, where you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. Let us stay in contact with you by texting CNC Live to 474747. That's CNC Live to 474747.
CNC Live.